Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Tonight, I want to talk about something that it seems like a lot of people are talking about because they keep sending me emails asking me what I think about it and talking about it in my live chat. In fact, every 15 minutes in the live chat tonight, when someone would come in, they're like, have we talked about this yet? Have we talked about this yet? Because people wanted to hear what I think, I guess. Mainly, I think they know because I used to have a fairly good relationship with this person, but I've kind of just written them off in recent history. And what we're talking about, of course, I'm sure a lot of people have figured it out, is what's going on with Military Arms Channel and Copper Customs and some rifles that they have on Gunbroker. Seems a lot of people are accusing Military Arms Channel of using his influence and his, I guess, celebrity to steal some stuff out from under some people who made special arrangements to have some things imported, and then telling them if they want them back, they can bid for them on Gunbroker, which is pretty shitty if it's true. But here's the thing. Who knows if it's true? I don't, because, I was going to research this. I was going to look into it and find out the truth, but only one thing stopped me from doing that, and that's the fact that I don't really want to. Sounds like a lot of work. But luckily, there's other people that are a lot more dedicated to this than me, and they have provided me with some information. One of the people is Never Enough Ammo. He actually did his homework because apparently Tim had come into one of his chats recently, or not one of his chats, on his Discord or something, and made a comment about how, people in the gun community need to stop price gouging and buying shit up and then trying to resell it at a profit because it's bad for the industry. Because, he owns a gun shop, so he's worried about that. But then apparently he turns around and does the exact same thing. So kind of hypocritical. Well, let's look at what we know. If you're not familiar with the situation, I guess there are a bunch of SVG rifles that are hard to get. I wouldn't know. They're not anything that I'm interested in. Well, a lot of people, I believe it was on ar15.com or ar15.net. I forget what it's called. I used to be a member there. I think I still am. But a lot of people there got together and they said, hey, we would all like one of these guns. We can't get these guns. But if we pool enough people that are willing to buy it, they contacted FEG and said, hey, if we can get this many people that will commit to buying this gun, will you import some of them, the SVGs? And they said, yes, if we can get that many people committed to buy them, we will buy them as a group buy and bring them over. So they arranged to have them bought. The company that makes them goes, yeah, if you're going to buy that many of them, we'll make them. It's worth it to us. So they make them. They send them over. Well, the importer that FEG has to use is Trident. I believe that's the name of the importer. Well, the importer brings them in. I mean, they're just an importer. They're not a distributor or anything. So when those guns come in, apparently Mac knew they were coming. Now, he claimed he didn't have knowledge, but then he said, okay, I did have knowledge. His story keeps changing as you go along, which makes me suspect of what he's doing. But apparently he swoops in, and a lot of people said, hey, he used his his position as a big figure in the gun community to say, hey, I want to buy all of them instead of you sending them to FEG and letting them distribute them to their customers one at a time. He said, I'll just buy all of them. That's a lot easier for you, which it would be. If you're a distributor, that's a lot easier. I mean, if you're an importer, you don't have to go to the panning them out and selling them one at a time and selling them on credit and blah, blah, blah. So that would have been better for them. So I don't really blame them that much. But unless they actually knew that there were people on the other end waiting for these from FEG, if they knew that, well, then I do blame them some. But Mac knew that too. So I blame both of them here. Well, what he did, like I said, he stepped in, got all the guns, bought all of them. Bought all 100 of them that came in. I think people are saying at around $4,000 each because that's what the purchase price was supposed to be for the people who were buying them. Although I bet that's probably a little inflated. I bet they probably only paid like but let's just say he paid $4,000 a piece for them. That gives him the benefit of the doubt when we start looking at the prices he's asking. So he buys all 100 of them. Now, where he came up with almost $500,000 in either cash or credit, that's like a mortgage. A big mortgage on the spur of the moment, like you said at first, is beyond me because right now it's hard for gun places to get credit and even get product even. But he came up with it, which is odd to me because he's always talking about how he doesn't take money from no one and times are tight and he's having to cut back because he's not making any money. he's a fucking rich man because of his YouTube. Don't listen to those lies. Don't, when they say, I don't take any money from gun manufacturers, I take it from their intermediaries and the companies that actually handle the accounts with them. Blah, blah. That's all a bunch of, it's double talk and misleading stuff. He takes money from gun manufacturers. He takes money and product from distributors. He takes money and product from Leviathan. So he's lying. And a lot of people are like, aren't you afraid he's going to sue you for saying that? Well, let him sue me. Because I honestly believe it. And we'd have to go through discovery to see if my assertions were true. So I'd get to look at his books. So we would see who he's taking money from. Don't think he'll want to go through that. But like I said, so I'm not worried about getting sued. And plus, I'm just saying what I know so far from what people have told me. But like I said, these people get together from ar15.net.com, whatever. They make a special purchase through FEG. FEG contacts the manufacturer, gets them to actually agree to it, gets the guns brought over by by an importer. Then, like I said, Mac swoops in, buys them all. Now, at first, Mac said, I didn't know these were things for a group of people that were on a list to get them. I didn't know. Well, then later, apparently, he admits that he did know because he got called out on it, that there was no way he didn't know. And then he said, okay, well, I knew there was a list, but I don't have all their names and phone numbers and addresses. So I couldn't possibly contact them. So I couldn't sell them to them, so I put them on Gunbroker, which is BS. He could have just went into ar15.com and said, oh, I'm sorry, I bought all your guys' guns by mistake, an order that was set through FEG for you and was guaranteed to you from FEG. Because first, after he said there was a list, but he didn't have it, and they're like, well, you could have easily gotten it. He's, well, FEG had no right to secure those guns for those people. And the guy who actually handled the order came back and said, no, I work for FEG. We had every right to secure those guns for people and offer them to people for sale. You swooped in and stole them out from under us. And I'm sure the importer was probably like, oh, crap, if I don't sell them to Mac, I'll probably get the SIG treatment if I don't sell them to him. So like I said, still don't blame the distributor all that much. So this is where they are at. He denied knowing there was a list. Then he admitted he knew there was a list. But then he said the list was incomplete. And then they were like, well, you could have gotten the complete list. He's like, well, FEG had no right to sell them. FEG comes back and says, we had every right. We're the ones that arranged it. You swooped in afterwards. And that's pretty much where we're at with that. And what made a lot of people mad is when they found out he was doing this and they said, hey, those were meant for us. Are you going to sell them to us? He's like, well, if you want them, you'll go over to Gunbroker and bid for them. Which he put it as a starting bid that's a big markup over what he bought them for. Way more than a gun shop like Copper Custom, which he owns. He does own Copper Custom. Much more than they would make off each gun selling them normally. Because most guns don't have a 30% profit margin in them. And that's the starting bid. I think a lot of people told me to buy it now. It was like 150% markup on the guns. So clearly price gouging on a gun that's hard to get at a time when people are having trouble getting the guns. Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with making money off stuff like that. But when you use pretty unscrupulous tactics to get the product, and then you find out you were a jerk, but you try to pretend like you're not, and then you get caught lying like you knew you were being a jerk, and you still lie about it, that tells me a lot about your character. So that's where we're at now. These people arranged to have these guns brought in. Max swooped in and got them. Now he's selling them on Gunbroker for a huge markup. People are spamming his Gunbroker account, driving the guns up to like $10 million to where he can't actually get them sold. He's freaking out and getting mad at people. People are getting mad at him. And people ask me, does this sound like something Mac would do to you? And I have to say, yeah, it does. Because my personal experiences with Mac have been that Mac is always very fond of Mac. He's very proud of everything Mac does. And he will tell you everything Mac does, whether he actually does it or not. And he's all about the money. He's all about them dollar bills. Because everyone knows most people don't know because him and the other gun channels that are about the money would never mention this because it makes them look bad. And people start asking them, well, what are you doing with all the money you make if he can do this and he's much smaller than you? I give away a gun a week to people in need. Give away another gun a month to people. Donate to animal charities, veterans charities, etc. with what we bring in. So, as you know, I do that charity. I have the TYM Triple P and I also have Handguns for Heroes. He came to me with a proposal that we basically monetize it. That we hire this guy who runs a for-profit charities or not-for-profit charities, which means you can make money and you can pay people. You just can't. That's not your main goal, is to make a profit. But your main goal is really to make a profit. He said we'd hire this guy to run it. All we would be is like overseers, board members, blah, blah, blah. There'd be a lot of money in it. We could really increase the numbers, blah, blah, blah. Well, what turned me off is there'd be a lot of money in it. Because even if you would say, well, but if they would have got involved, you could have done 3 times as many guns. Well, yeah, but then we could have done 10 if some people weren't putting their hands in the jar. And I don't want people putting their hands in my jar. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean. So it sounds just like him. Everything has to have a monetary incentive, and he will screw over his friends for that monetary incentive. I've known him to screw over people in the past by saying, when they offered to, hey, we'll handle this for you, and then he finds out, hey, they're making money, I'm going to cut them out of the loop and take all the money for myself. That's been his method of operation for a long time. So it's sad to see when people become all about the money to where they'll do dick things. And do I think this is a dick thing? Yes, I do. If this is true, it's a dick thing to do. Now, how could he make it right? Well, the one way he could have done it right from the very beginning, which would make him be in a better position, is if he just took those rifles and said, hey, I got my hands on 100 of these rifles, and at my gun shop right now, selling them at a fair price to people because I want to make it easy for people to get a product that they can't normally get. Or contact the people in that forum and go, I'll sell it to you guys at a fair profit. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. That'd have been fine. What he could have done even better is say, put it on his Patreon page and say, hey, here's a bunch of the things I lucked into. I'm going to sell them to my patrons who have made me a wealthy man at cost as a thank you for being a patron. That'd have been a great thing. If I could afford to buy that many guns, knowing my patrons would buy them back from me at cost, I would do it in a minute. If I could come up with $500,000, I can't do that because Patreon has not made me rich. YouTube has not made me rich because I don't try to get rich on it. Now, I got nothing against being rich. I've tried other ways in my life, which is why I'm comfortable now, but no desire to really be rich. I'm too pretty. It wouldn't be fair to be this pretty and be rich. So I don't want to make people mad. But that's the story. Like I said, I've repeated it multiple times here. People made arrangements to get a product. They had the product made. They had the product shipped over. They had their names on them, basically. Max swooped in, bought them out from underneath of them, and then didn't just sell them in his store and didn't offer them to his followers or anybody like that at a profit. He put them on Gunbroker to get 150% markup out of them. And that's where we stand, and that's why people are mad. And if everything that I know to be true and some of the things I suspect to be true are true, that was pretty shitty. And everyone has a right to be mad. But here's the thing. You don't have the right to be surprised. Because I've been telling y'all for a long time, these big channels are all about the money. And that's all they care about is the money. If your attacks on him right now weren't hurting his bottom line, they weren't preventing him from getting the money, he wouldn't even be responding to you. He'd be ignoring you. But because it's screwing up his gunbroker plans and everything else, he's responding because it's hitting him in the pocketbook. And that's where he cares. That's what he cares about. So like I said, you have a right to be angry, but you don't have a right to be surprised because I've been telling you about these people for a very long time. All right, everybody, since I spent so much time talking about that, and I want to try to get these shows under 15 minutes, at least under 20, but closer to 15, and I'm not being very good at that, I'm going to go ahead and move on and end the show with our viewer EDC of the day. And today's viewer EDC is, well, I don't know, because they didn't give me their name. So I'm going to call him Susan. We'll just call him Susan for these purposes here. And as you can see, Susan is carrying his Glock 22, his Gen 5 Glock 22, in an outside waistband leather holster. Now, I know a lot of you right now are looking at that gun and going, oh my God, is that like some sort of freak mutant giant gun? I don't think so. I think he's just on the smaller side. Although it is a fairly large gun. This is like a big duty size weapon in 40 cal, so it's a really nice carry gun. And he is carrying it a little far back, but that's actually a good thing, because this is the second picture he sent me right here, the one from the rear view, which, you know, it's not so great to have to look at people's ass to see their gun, especially when they don't really have an ass. Looks like they have a load in their pants because of that. But it's a good thing, like I said, that he had it here so we can actually get a good look at the gun, because the first picture he said he was turned sideways, and Susan is a skinny bitch. Turned sideways, it looked like a fucking gun floating in the air. I could barely see where he was at. So not a very good picture to use to show his carry gun. And like I said, that is a really nice, full-size, 40 caliber Glock that he's carrying there. Obviously not concerned about printing, and that's what I always like to try to tell people. Don't worry so much about printing. Carry what you want to carry. Throw a sweatshirt over it or a t-shirt over it or whatever. If you got some bumps or bulges somewhere, most people aren't going to notice. Believe me, people stopped looking at my bumps and bulges a long time ago. And plus, most of my bumps and bulges are in different places now. So just get over it. Don't worry about it. Carry what you want to carry, just like Susan here is. So that's our viewer EDC of the day. Susan with her Glock 22 in her outside the waistband leather holster. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back again tomorrow. I want to remind everybody of a couple of things before I go here. If you want to be featured in the viewer EDC of the day section, send your pictures to shootingleftofcenter@gmail.com, and in the subject line, put viewer EDC. Make sure your pictures are on landscape mode, not portrait mode, and make sure they're in focus and actually show your gun. That's always a good thing to do. Also, I want to remind everyone, if you have any problem with anything I say, you want to come in one of my chats, just send me an email also to shootingleftofcenter@gmail.com, and in the title put Slap the Yank, and set up a time to come in one of my live chats, because we have live chats every evening. Every day of the week, there's a live chat you can come to and discuss whatever you saw in today's video or a video you saw a week ago. Whatever you want to talk about, come on in to our live chats that we hold nightly. And with that being said, I'll sign off today, as usual, by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, well, it is what it is. It's not that bad, but it could be better. And what it will be in the future, if we keep our heads about us, we ignore the fear-mongers and the profiteers and the anti-gunners that want to keep us angry and afraid so that they can manipulate us and profit off of us. If we ignore those people, what things will be in the future for us gun owners is better.